Election season has kicked off. It would seem ActionSA President Herman Mashaba is launching the party's first local government election campaign today. The party saying the campaign will demonstrate its track record of success in local government. Mashaba will be joined by the party's mayoral candidates for Tshwane, Ekurhuleni and the other municipal areas that you heard Herman Mashaba speaking about this morning, saying that they're not going to contest all of the municipalities, but those that they believe will put them in government. Linda Mnisi, following this particular story. Linda, good morning to you. I see lots of activity. Herman Mashaba up and about with the party's leadership. What's he been saying?
Well, officially his campaign trail is kicked off here in the city of Johannesburg. He's of course not a stranger here in this particular city, having been a mayor for the Democratic Alliance for about 3 years. He's had, quite a message to send to the supporters and prospective voters who may be looking to vote for him. You're seeing him there, getting his hands dirty in, of course, that campaign trail. But Herman Mashaba really, speaking about a number of issues, saying that their message that they have for South Africans is that they will declare corruption public enemy number one. It's one of the key things that they want to focus on. They also want to do away with the entities such as City Power, Joshko, which are in the city of Johannesburg, collapse them as soon as they get into office. And of course, looking at also the issue around undocumented migrants. He's always been known as that person that has really taken a stance against undocumented migrants. He says those who want the United States of Africa can go to hell. They can in fact come back when the country has a reduced number of unemployed people. So it wouldn't really be a Herman Mashaba speech if, of course, he did not tackle that. But he's also cognizant of the fact that this is a new party and that they might not win outright majority. And in that case, they would want to go into coalition, but that wouldn't be with the ANC. Oh. All right. So my colleague there, Morena, falling a bit there.
It's okay.
Okay, it looks like we've got a hold of things. He's okay, I can assure you of that. Trying to speak to, of course, Herman Mashaba. He's said that he would be working with the JMPD. Mr. Mashaba, thank you so much for your time. Once again, you reiterate that you will, of course, not be kind to undocumented migrants, but that is not the policy. It would seem you're still targeting undocumented migrants instead of going into policy and setting up real rules. It's not, of course, you've said that this is not it's not your manifesto, but it's the stance that you're taking at the moment.
Absolutely, it's the stand that we are unapologetically taking in all the municipalities we are contesting. South Africa is not going to be a country where failed governments outsource their problems to us when we're sitting with 12 million of our own people unemployed. We are unapologetically going to be pursuing this kind of line.
But of course it would seem quite problematic because this country has a history, of course, of xenophobic attacks. How are you planning to communicate your message properly without, of course, it being seen as xenophobia?
I think you've heard me that one of the key core value of ActionSA is the rule of law. Fortunate enough, the Constitution of South Africa says people must be invited to come to South Africa, must be attracted to come to South Africa, but they must come here legally, and when they're here, they must respect our laws. And that's what we as ActionSA are calling. We are calling on our people, let us ensure that we can follow the rule of law by voting governments that allow illegality in our country.
You've also spoken about, you being cognizant of the fact that you might not win an outright majority, and in that case, you're willing to go into coalition. During your tenure as the city of Johannesburg's mayor, we've seen what may be described as interference. For example, in Alexandra, homes were demolished in your absence when you went to the United States. I mean, how will that work?
Well, you remember that particular incident which was actually planned in the Tule House to sabotage our administration. That is the reason why it's important. As soon as we take over government, we must get rid of snakes, people who are going to sabotage our government.
And we've been seeing you interacting with people. Of course, there will be guidelines in terms of how political parties will be campaigning. You're interacting with people, you're lowering your mask. Is that even acceptable? I know as a leader you know it's not acceptable, right?
Well, I think I'm sure you can see, I only take the mask for people to really see who I am. And when you're not talking, you're not really endangering anyone's life. But as soon as I talk to them, I have the mask on. So we definitely, as a party, that's why even today, we make sure that we don't have too many people attending our events, because we know and respect that COVID regulations are a reality. This pandemic is a reality, and we need to respect it.
Do you have a strategy in terms of how you're going to be campaigning? Because, of course, we saw you lowering your mask, speaking to people inside a taxi.
Yes, that's what I'm saying is when you're going to really speak to someone on a one-to-one basis, you have to for people to see who you are. Because you can't speak to people when they don't say who you are. Obviously, with the mask, it doesn't give you that opportunity. But we're going to avoid having groups of people at any given time. Make sure that we really have one-on-one. Because you can't campaign when people cannot see who you are.
All right, there you have it, Tlhogi. That is the leader of ActionSA, Herman Mashaba. We're passing Lutuli House right now in the city of Johannesburg, explaining to us how exactly, he's going to be campaigning. I did, of course, mention quite a few things that we noticed. One being, Herman Mashaba engaging people while he's lowered his mask. Of course, this will be a big issue come election time. We're fast approaching that. Political parties who want to be speaking to people. We've been seeing him hugging people that are not wearing masks. Of course, that is a cause for concern when a number of people in this country are still not vaccinated. But he also touches on the issue around his stance on undocumented migrants. He seems to be using the fact that, he has a track record, and the people that are mayoral candidates in ActionSA also have a track record that they can, of course, bank on in trying to win the vote. So it will be quite interesting to see exactly how, the people within the city will be reacting to him, to his speeches, what he has to say. I mean, if you would have seen as he was walking just next to Bree, how the people who were on the side were being moved by, the JMPD. Will give you an indication. It's quite reminiscent of the time when he was mayor in the city of Johannesburg. So what you're seeing right now on your screen is also him now, putting up a placard right opposite Lutuli House, which is, of course, part of his campaign trail. It's right opposite Lutuli House, just, next to the offices of the Star newspaper. So there you have it, Herman Mashaba there on your screen, clearly sending out his message for all to see. Those who will be driving past Lutuli House will, of course, be able to see his messages, joining other political parties who already have placards on that particular pole.
I couldn't stop laughing there when you said that as far as the idea of a United States of Africa, Herman Mashaba said, well, you can go to hell. This was an idea of the late leader of Libya, Muammar Gaddafi. How does Herman Mashaba explain saying that that idea needs to go to hell?
Well, he hasn't given much of an explanation, Tlhogi, and if you know, Herman Mashaba, you would know that his utterances have always, been regarded as those along the lines of xenophobia, especially when he speaks about undocumented migrants. He was making this reference, he was making these remarks in reference to undocumented migrants, kind of, putting it together with the country's unemployment rate, saying that there are quite a number of people that are unemployed in South Africa, and those who need to take preference would, of course, be South Africans, and that he would be uncompromising in that move. As soon as he goes into the city, he would make sure that the people that own salons in the city of Johannesburg are firstly documented. They contribute in terms of taxes. They must be known by the South African Revenue Service. He says we want that money. So it is, of course, quite a thing that he's known for, and he's saying he's using that track record to, campaign. Also speaking about the issue around Mthetho, saying, you'll remember, during his tenure in office, he was also targeting hijacked buildings, which he believes were being operated by syndicates. He says that he will be, re-establishing that campaign of Mthetho, restoring the city, to its former glory, saying that, so this is what he has been told by people that he encounters on a daily basis. Again, it will be quite interesting to hear what the people who live in the city of Johannesburg, particularly the central business district, who work and operate within this, city thing, but also, of course, because he will be if appointed, will be the mayor in the city of Johannesburg. How do Joburg residents really, react to his statement that he's made today? Of course, those will be outlined in their manifesto. They were quite quick to remind us that this is not their manifesto. It is, of course, the launch of their campaign. Tlhogi?
All right, Linda Mnisi, thank you very much for that update. It's certainly going to be a very, very busy election season.